Alright, so I'm going to show you quickly how to kind of get started on Robocode. So first off, you're going to open up the document link here. It has an overview of kind of what Robocode is. There's a Robocode wiki that you can find all sorts of background information on. But what you want to start is get your Robocode downloaded onto your H drive. So what you're going to do is go to the provided link. You're going to download Robocode. It's going to take a little bit of time to do that. So once it's downloaded, you want to keep this. This is a jar file. It's a Java archive resource. We know this one's okay, so we're going to keep it. We're not going to discard it. It's going to take a minute to download. And when it's downloaded, I'm going to show you how to install it. So I'm going to pause the video for a second while this is downloading, and we'll come back to the install piece. Alright, so our jar file is downloaded. We're going to double click on it and just open it up. And it's going to prompt us to run Robocode, hopefully. And let's see what happens here when I do it. Alright, now this is important. It says will be installed. Is this okay? It's actually not okay to install it here on the C drive. We want it on our H drive. If you put it on the C drive, you're either not going to have permissions or it's not going to stick for your computer. So we say no, and then basically all we have to do is change our drive letter to be H. And then that's going to be okay. And that's where we want it, and we say yes, and it's going to take a minute to download it. So what it's going to do is it's going to build all the necessary folder structures on our H drive, and then it's going to, when it's done, prompt us for a desktop shortcut so that we can open it directly. And we definitely want to do that. It can be a little bit hard to find the file necessary to run it. So while this is downloading, I'm going to pause it, and I'll come back when it's put everything on the H drive. Okay, so now it's asked if we want to put a shortcut on the start menu. We're going to say yes. If you don't do this step, it's okay. You can still get to it, but it's just easier when we do it this way. So we're going to say yes. And there it is. It popped up. So there's our Robocode. And I'm going to close. We're going to hit anything that it wants to do with these pieces. We're just going to say yes for now. And we're going to hit OK. And it's installed. And now it's ready to roll. So we're just going to double click on Robocode. It's going to take a minute to kind of boot up all its files, and then we get our Robocode GUI that pops up with our kind of battlefield and everything that we can do. So we're going to show you kind of how to set up a battle, and then how to modify your own robot, and then how to bring that robot in. So this is our default battle. If we want to make a new battle, we basically just have to go back and take off anything that we want. So we could add Ramfire, we can have Crazy, and then we just start the battle with the defaults, and we can speed it up, we can slow it down. We have some health bars over here. One thing that's helpful is to change it so you can see the scan arc. So you go to View Options, and then hit Finish, and that, hopefully, there you go. You can see where they're scanning with the blue, and that's going to be really helpful as you start to build your own robot. So that's the first part of just making a battle. When you want to actually build a robot, you click on the source editor. It's going to set up the compiler the first time through it. Everything should just be okay. And then you're going to make a new robot. And so you want to make your name for it. I'm just going to call it TestBot. And it's going to, this is my class, so TestBot, and then it's going to ask for a package. I'm going to call it delete because I'm going to get rid of it later. And there we go. So it's given me a file to edit. One thing that we want to look at is kind of what we have here. So we have our run method, and in there that's going to run automatically. This while true loop is obviously always going to run. And so my robot is going to go ahead 100, turn its gun 360 degrees, go back 100, and turn the gun 360 degrees. What's going to happen here is every time it's turning the gun, if it scans a robot, this is this scanned event, it's going to fire with 1 energy. If it gets hit by a bullet, it's going to go back 10, and it's going to hit the wall, it goes back 20. So these are events that can happen at different paces, and this is going to kind of be our logic for our robot. So if we just want the basic robot, we have to save it. And it's going to ask to make a directory, and we're going to say yes, and we're just going to put it in there. And then we need to, so you might want to bring it into a battle now, but before you can actually bring it in a battle, you have to compile it. So we're going to hit compile, and then we're going to hope for no errors, and there aren't any because we didn't change the default, and we hit OK. So now what we can do is close our source editor, and I can make a new battle, and what I'll see is there's my package with my robot. And I'm going to just put it against SpinBot. And now I can see how I do. So I have my robot, TestBot. You can see it's just going back and forth, and it's scanning, and when it sees something, it shoots, which isn't necessarily the best because it obviously takes time for the bullet to get there. So it's going to miss a lot of times, especially on SpinBot, which is moving a bunch. So I lost the first battle, and we could see that if I just sped it up and go from all of my rounds, it will give me a summary at the end. And pretty quickly here, we can see that I lost every battle. So maybe what I want to do is to take some code from SpinBot. So to do that, I can go to Robot, go to the source editor, and I can open. And if I go back into the sample and I look at SpinBot, I can see how SpinBot works. Now, a word of warning is if I modify this file, I'm changing SpinBot, so it won't have that kind of default functionality. So you want to be a little bit careful about this. But we can see here that I have this while true, right? I like this. You can see that I can pull that functionality. I can see it's firing more. It has some values where it's getting the bearing from if it gets hit. So if it hits a robot, it tries to get the bearing. Now, where all that is coming from and where you can really make a difference is by digging into the Robocode API. So it's a non-trivial API. You'll see that there's a lot that you can do. You can see that really these ones, the hit wall, hit robot, hit bullet event, you can do a lot to get values from that. You can get information which can help inform your strategy. So that's it. My recommendation is that you kind of start off by seeing which robot's functionality you like, and then try to kind of Frankenstein together your own robot with those best case scenarios. There's definitely a sample bot that you can pull from, or a sample bot that has a lot of success as we go forward. So have fun, enjoy it, and again, what I would suggest too is make small little changes, compile it, and run it. It can be a little bit hard to trace errors as you're going through this. All right, good luck.